Now let's take a look at like how do we calculate the future value, the present value, the I and N. Okay, we just talked about the scenarios. I hope you can understand each scenario, the meaning of it, and also understand the real case. Okay, and then now let's talk about how do we calculate that. If we want to convert everything to the future, if we want to convert everything to the present, if we want to calculate the I, if we want to calculate the N, how do we do that? Okay, so finding F when given P, I, and N. Do you still remember how to write that term? Finding F, so F is the first letter, angled line, given what? P, I, and N. That's it. Okay, so practice this please, because you're gonna use that term later. All right, so don't worry, you don't have to do it manually. The calculation, we use this equation. So F, future equivalent value, is P, the present value, times I plus 1 plus I to the power of N. Okay, this is the equation you can use. And now let's apply that to this example. Suppose that you borrow 8,000 now. That 8,000 you borrow is gonna be your present value, right? Promising to repay the loan principal plus accumulated interest in 4 years. So N is 4 at interest rate I, 10%. So how much would you repay at the end of 4 years? So you want to find out F. Okay, so F is unknown. Let's use this equation. So F is P 1 plus I to the power of N, right? And what is P? P is 8,000. I is 10%. N is 4. So we can substitute the P, I, and N with these values. So the F is 8,000 times 1 plus 10% to the power of 4. Right? So that's gonna be 8,000 times 1.1 to the power of 4. Okay, let me take a look at my note. So 8,000 times 1.1 to the power of 4 is 1.4641. So the final result is 11,712.8 US dollars. Okay, which means this is the future equivalent value of your cash flow. What is your cash flow? You borrow 8,000 now, and you have to calculate the interest every year for 5 years at the I equals to 10%. That's your cash flow. How do you convert all of this to the future value? Well, this is how you do that. You use this equation. Luckily, we have another way to do that. You don't have to do the calculation, but you need to check a table, okay? And here's how you do that. So here, this is the equation, right? But we can put this, 1 plus interest rate to the power of N. We can, somebody else already calculated this in different scenarios, like when N is 1%, when I is 1%, I is 2%, I is 3%, until I is 20%. And when N is 1, 2, 3, 4 until 100. So somebody has already calculated the different combinations of this term. Okay, and then we have a term or a factor to represent this term. So here 1 plus I to the power of n can be written as what? You're gonna like it because you have learned how to write the term. To find f given p, I, and n. So remember, this is a term we simplify that scenario, and if you give it a parenthesis outside, this becomes a factor to use to calculate the f using this table without any manual calculation like to the power of n, something like that. Okay, so you can, this is another approach. We just call it factor approach or table approach. Okay, so now what you do is to use p times a factor, and that factor is f given p, I, and n. Okay, and now your next job is to find out the factor, the value of the factor. How do you do that? You just need to check a table like this. So this is the table in the appendix C. You have multiple tables, and depends on what is the I, what is the I, so that you can use different tables. Okay, so we use this example to show you how to use the table. So the same example, you borrow 8,000 now, that's your P, and you promise to repay after 4 years. So N is 4. At the interest rate I equals to 10%, that's your I. Okay, so how do you use the factor or table method to do this, to calculate your future equivalent? You go check the table in the appendix C, but you want to find the table of I equals to 10%. Okay, so different table has different I, but you want to find out the I for this problem, which is 10%. After that, you are going to find the factor of this, the value of this. How do you find it? So you want to check the column, different columns, right? But each of them represent a single scenario. Check this. Find f given p. That's our case. We want to have f given p, I, and n. Okay? So this is the column you are looking at for this problem. And then you want to find out which row to look at. The row is number of n, okay? So here we have n equals to 4, so we need to look at this row. So now you have a row to look at, you have a column to look at. That will give you the number there, a cell. And that is the value of the factor you're looking at. Okay, so to calculate this f, you use the p times that factor. And that factor, you can write it as given f, find the f given p with 10% and 4 years. Okay, you can just, replace the letter by the values you already know. And the p is 8,000, and that factor is what we have already found is 1.4641. That will give you 11,713. Exactly the same as this answer. Okay, so both way works, but usually we will use the table method.